I've heard Josh talk to drivers and not even sell, like there's not even a job. He's not even looking at a job description. He's just talking to them about an opportunity. And that's important to portray that, because even though you are getting a commission on it, they don't need to know that you're making a commission on it. And that should be your sense of urgency, of course, but you're also helping them. Of all the things that Josh taught me, the importance of that went from having if I knew that when I was working at JB Hunt, I probably would have hired 50 or 60 more drivers than I did.
All right, well, we're here today with Caleb Evans. I'm glad to call him a friend. He's a professional in the transportation industry. Really excited to have him here. And we're going to do a quick interview with Caleb here and just kind of go through a few questions, based on kind of what he's done and where he's been, and kind of how he felt about the process that we had. What was your career in transportation before you met Josh Hicks and getting involved with the steps that he had in the Simba7 Logistics Mastery course?
So my career in transportation started off at JB Hunt, actually, where I had a few friends that were already recruiting truck drivers, and I was already in sales, and I thought to myself, well, I mean, how difficult is it to get a person to come to a job? All you got to do is basically talk to them over the phone. That's what they basically made it seem out to me. Little did I know that it was going to be a lot more difficult than it actually was. Anybody that's in this industry knows that getting another person to do something that is even plausible to, is a good opportunity. At the end of the day, sometimes, they have other influences from other places. So, it was one of those things for me that I was thought was a great idea, in which it was a great idea in the end, but I didn't really know what I was getting myself into at the beginning. Going to JB Hunt, like I said, I definitely didn't know what I was getting myself into. I kind of jumped straight into it. At the end of the day, that's just the type of person I am. I'm a 10 or a 1, so if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So I'm very goal-oriented. So even though I didn't know what I was doing, I was going to definitely give it a shot, and I was going to try to find the people on the floor that were successful doing that and ask questions. Everybody has their own techniques and their own ways of recruiting and doing different things with drivers, but there are some fundamental things that you can do, that you can put in your pitch, that will work. Over the course of having a conversation with my mentor, Stan, that's where he kind of put me on the path of being like, well, hey, do you want to, let me talk to Josh. Let me see where Josh where he's at right now. Yeah. And what's going on. And, that's kind of where that connection happened again. Yeah, I was real nervous about, jumping in to 100% commission. It was definitely something I told myself, if in the first 4 weeks, if I didn't have something on the table, then I was going to leave. That's something I told myself, because not a lot of people can put themselves in a situation where they can, go many weeks without having something to pay their bills. And what helped me the most, I would say, like I said, is, doing it at 100 miles an hour. Taking in everything you can get, listening to the people around you, having one-on-one conversations with you, have different spins, different ideas. What do you take from, hey, how about this approach? What do you think about that? Just trying to put different ideas out there, because I'm a firm believer, if you find something that works, work it. I would say to anybody that at the end of the day, that, I would put that trust into you. I would put that trust into you because, there was a lot of results.
What are the three biggest things out of my, I would say mentoring, coaching, or some of the steps in our trainings that really you were able to take? What's the three biggest things that you took from what we did?
Honestly, when I first started working, working over there, I was already so successful at recruiting that I was like, well, I'm just going to show up, I'm going to do my job, and I'll make more money doing it than I was doing it before. Like, I really wasn't expecting to pick anything up, honestly. And like some of that stuff, it sounds like a cheesy sales pitch, but that cheesy sales pitch does work, even though it's not. Like, you understand, like, to you, it sounds like, to the individual that's doing the sales pitch,
yeah,
it sounds cheesy, but to the person on the other line listening to it, that's not really what it sounds like. It sounds real, because it is real. It's just about how you portray your voice, how you act, like smiling through the phone. Those things are real things.
Tone and inflection and life to the script.
Yeah, those are real things that matter. It's like, and it's real hard. One thing I can say to you is, in this industry, you can have 5 people show up on your boards, and then 3 of them drop off by Friday, and you may only have 1 person go to orientation. And it's kind of like, it gets to be downing, and it can be depressing, and it can be upsetting. And those were the things that I can tell you the most, where you have to stay positive. Like, you can't, some of that stuff you have to just let roll off your back. But yeah, like, there were times where, you know, I would listen to it and I'd be like, you know, whatever, I don't think that's going to work, but I'll try it. You know, I wouldn't really even say that I'm not the type of person that's going to admit that I'm even going to try it. I would just try it, and it would work, and I'd be like, oh, hey, Josh, so I tried this, and, you know, it seemed to work. And the 3 things that I can say, because I already had, like, for me, everybody's a different type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the type of person that wants to do the research on it, figure out what the person wants. Try to meet their needs. But all the jobs, I want the most research I could possibly, I find the most things out about those jobs. That way, when they have a question, I answer it, and I'm not sitting there fumbling through paperwork or fumbling through, you know, that job side of JB Hunt trying to figure, or, you know, CR England, whatever it is. Like, you want to always keep your, you know, your equipment sharp, or your sword sharp, and, you know, on the front line of that. But the things that I can say that worked for me the most, that I learned from you, was the, like, follow-up. So one thing that gets frustrating for recruiters is, like, you're going, like, everybody, there's only a certain amount of leads in the world. Right. It really is true. Like, these guys will go to 5 websites, and their leads are going to be distributed in 5 different ways, and sometimes they misspell this, so it doesn't even look like their name, so it doesn't even look like the same lead.
Right.
And that gets frustrating, but, you know, not everybody's going to answer the phone right away. So one thing that I started doing right away was, when I would get my leads from you, I would first off call early in the morning, because that's one thing you taught me. But also with the follow-up too, that's crucial, is the guys that you actually do put in the pipeline, you got to follow up with them daily. So to be able to do that, there is a little bit of pressure on their end, but you also got to portray yourself as, like, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm doing you this favor here. And that's important to portray that, because even though you are getting a commission on it, they don't need to know that you're making a commission on it. And that should be your sense of urgency, of course, but you're also helping them. And to do that, sometimes these drivers, you got to hold their hand. And that's the truth. You got to hold these guys' hand, because if it's up to them, they're not going to probably follow through. So you got to help them follow through. So that follow-up is key every day. Of all the things that Josh taught me, like, you know, the importance of that went from having, like, if I knew that when I was working at JB Hunt, I'd probably have hired 50 or 60 more drivers than I did.
What would you say to somebody that's thinking about taking my mastery course and actually connecting with me to coach and train them in the recruiting field?
What would I say? I would say to you that, or I would say to anybody, I've known Josh for a while. There's one thing I could say that Josh knows, like, anything, like the back of his hands, it is recruiting a driver. For some reason, like I said, I'm know my information, throw my information at people, put them in the pipeline because of what they're looking for. I've heard Josh talk to drivers and not even sell, like, there's not even a job. He's not even looking at a job description. He's just talking to them about an opportunity, a lifestyle change. And, you know, he hires them. And so there's, what you have to find, I think, is that Josh has a lot of different tools. Not every tool may not work for you, but find what works and work it. And that may be everything that Josh tells you from A to Z. That may be you just take Z. That may be what it takes, and whatever it is, but there's something for everybody. And not just with like the recruiting alone, but Josh brings an energy to the table. Sometimes at first you kind of think like it's not something anybody's used to at the beginning. So you're like, is this fake, or is this real, or like, but that's just Josh. He's just positive. He's just full of energy. He's real. I think one thing that I can say that I learned most about from Josh is how to be what an entrepreneur means. What does that look like? How do you, oh gosh, man, just how does that look? What does that look like? I mean, first you get your feet wet by just becoming a recruiter and being 100% commissioned. But then, with Josh, you're going to get also like, well, let's look at diversifying, not just with this.
Hey, thanks for sticking around. And by the way, you like videos like that, check this out right next to us right here. It's going to be exactly what you need. If you're new, subscribe down below. You'll get updated on all new information coming. And if you comment below, I'm going to be pulling somebody on a monthly to give free coaching away. Looking forward to it. See you on the other side.